They told me A'ja Wilson wasn't marketable, bro.
Do you practice this? Was this spur of the moment?
Is Juju Watkins better than Caitlin Clark? I feel like people have been saying that already.
I mean, there's the argument that she was the best point guard as a rookie last year.
I still think Arike is a better basketball player than Sabrina Ionescu is.
Napheesa Collier is unstoppable right now.
Maybe, just maybe, Napheesa Collier is breathing down her neck. A'ja Wilson knows it too.
Yeah. All right. Welcome back to the Protect Our Queens podcast, brought to you by Basketball Society. My name is Martin. I am the founder of Basketball Society. In case you didn't know, this is my channel. If you've been on this YouTube channel, then you've seen my face all over the place. But you usually also see my co-host Dwayne Marcus on here on the Protect Our Queens podcast with me, yammering every week, talking about women's basketball. It's just me this evening, just me by myself. So if you're here and tuned in, feel free to join the discussion with me in the comments, and I'll do my best to get to those as we get through this topic. We're going to talk about Paige Bueckers possibly becoming one day, eventually becoming the best player in the WNBA. And we're just going to talk about what that might mean and what that could mean. And I'm going to get to 5 things that I think Paige actually needs in order for that to happen. 5 things that she might need to happen just circumstantially, or just in terms of the environment of the league. And I have 5 things that I feel like Paige might need to go well or go right to set herself up to become the best player in the WNBA. But if you're watching here live, good to have you. Join the conversation as we get into this topic on Paige. If you're watching on the playback, make sure you subscribe to Basketball Society and tune into our live weekly episodes here on the Protect Our Queens podcast, talking women's basketball. It's just me tonight. I usually have my co-host Dwayne Marcus with me, but he's in Houston hanging out, having a good time. So just wanted to hop on and react to this topic. So this actually came from Diana Taurasi, who recently had a take. She was on a podcast on The Athletic and gave this take about what Paige Bueckers could be or could become in her WNBA career.
It's a different beast. There's different challenges. You know, as an individual, as a team, when you get drafted, number one, you're usually going to a team that's rebuilding, that's starting to try something new. So there's a lot of challenges when you get to a team and a franchise that's rebuilding. And, you know, you kind of have to change your outlook on wins and losses. You take the wins as far as getting better every single game. And as you can tell already, from game 1 to game 2, she was a different player. And from game 2 to game 10, she's going to be a different player. And that's going to go for their team as well, as they learn each other on the court and off the court as well. So the one thing I know about Paige is she's so grounded, she's so patient, she's so prepared. And I think she's learned that in the last 4 or 5 years. And all those things that she learned in Connecticut, they're going to change the way you look at that team. One day she's going to end up being the best player in the league, for sure.
So anyone who knows about Diana Taurasi, obviously the UConn background and affiliation, but not just the UConn thing. Paige is really her girl. Like that's you might go as far to say that's her protege. So we know that Diana loves Paige. She advocates for Paige. The UConn connection, that's her girl. So we know about somewhat of the built-in bias that there might be with that take. But I will also say that Diana Taurasi is not just going to flat out say that and put her basketball intelligence and credibility on the line. She's not going to say that unless she actually means it and believes that that could be true. So like I mentioned, if you're just joining us, we're talking about Paige Bueckers and the possibility of her becoming the best player in the WNBA one day, as Diana Taurasi predicted and projected in the clip that we just played. She was on a podcast on The Athletic and made this prediction that Paige will become the best player in the WNBA one day. And again, I just think Diana wouldn't say that unless she really felt like it was true. Now, what is most fascinating about this take and thinking about this as a possibility, of course, is the fact that Diana Taurasi said this, obviously full well knowing that Paige's career is going to be on the same, basically the same timeline and trajectory as Caitlin Clark's career. And obviously one could make the argument that at some point during Caitlin Clark's career, she's going to become the best player in the WNBA. You have people out here advocating for her as the best player, if not one of the best players in the WNBA right now. I have her in my top 5 after last season. Marcus and I have been on here kind of debating about it. Marcus didn't have him in his latest top 10 coming into the season. I had Caitlin Clark in my top 5. So people feel different ways about where Caitlin is. But I mean, at the very least, we know that she's one of the top players. She had probably the most outstanding rookie season we've ever seen. Paige is having a pretty good one so far too, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, I think it's really the most interesting part of it, that and I mean what Diana has essentially done inadvertently is kind of it's helped put us on this course of thinking about Caitlin versus Paige, and the Caitlin and Paige dynamic. You can't even call it a rivalry yet. Like, maybe their fans are like, I've seen a little bit of the Caitlin versus Paige thing going on out there, but it's not not that strong yet. It's not that passionate yet. People haven't really gotten to that point yet where we're doing the Caitlin and Paige thing. Obviously they still have to match up in the WNBA. So once they start playing against each other in the WNBA, that'll spark something. But then we also need some moments between them. Like, they've got to go at each other. Maybe one fouls the other one hard. Like, we've got to have some moments for that to really become a rivalry. But just in terms of their games and their careers, again, I've seen a little bit of it out there, and maybe their fan bases. I mean, I've seen their fan bases get pretty passionate about it. Caitlin people vouching for her, Paige people vouching for her. I've seen people vouching for both sides, but that's something you can't help. We're not going to be able to help but do, is kind of compare Caitlin and Paige. And if Paige were to become the best player in the WNBA, obviously in the same era as Caitlin, that would be a major statement. And like I said, I have 5 things that I do want to get to, that I feel like Paige might need to just continue her progression, but also to actually have her in an environment and in a mindset that'll actually position her to maybe be the best player in the WNBA. So far, Paige looks really good. I mean, so far she's clearly showing that she is an outlier, as we call it, just like Caitlin was last year. Like, basically, as an outlier, it means that you don't look like a rookie as a rookie. Paige, and obviously Dallas hasn't. I mean, they're 1-4, and they got things to figure out. But just looking at how Paige is operating so far, it doesn't look that much different. She's figuring things out. Like, you can see her adjusting to like the regular adjustments, speed, pace, physicality, all that. But, you know, she's scored in double figures every game. Right now, she's leading the league in assists. Paige Bueckers is leading leading the league in assists right now, and she's not top 10 in turnovers. So even the words that you hear people, you heard Diana use the words grounded and poised. You hear a lot of those same words when people describe Paige and her demeanor. I saw a clip from Lexi Brown from the Seattle Storm from her podcast, and they had just played against Dallas recently. So her co-host asked Lexi kind of just what she saw from Paige and what she observed, and she used some of those same words, just poised, patient. And I want to go to a clip from last week where Marcus and I were talking about Kiki Area-Finn on the Washington Mystics, who's also off to a great start in her rookie year. And Marcus we were kind of talking about the potential for Kiki winning Rookie of the Year and how she might be able to challenge Paige for that.
But I do think, like you mentioned, I do think the key for Paige to win Rookie of the Year would be how quickly Paige and Enrique can kind of iron out the kinks and start clicking and being the backcourt that we all kind of expected them to be coming into the season. Because you're right, it hasn't really felt like
They got to get some wins too. They're gonna
they,
have to
they got to win.
wins.
Yeah, they're not going to go 4 and 44, but
yeah, it's not MVP, but like Rookie of the Year, you're gonna have to get some wins.
Yeah. Not necessarily a winning record, but they do need to get some wins, especially too if you're talking about, if it does come down to Paige and Kiki, the team that has more wins, that player would probably end up winning Rookie of the Year.
Unless Paige is just going crazy, and that's where I'm saying, like, Paige just she's just so patient and kind and calm, and she'll have some breakout games, but she's never going to force the issue. Yeah, so that's something, and a lot of this stuff is part of my list, my 5 things that Paige might need to happen in order for her to possibly become the best player in the WNBA. A lot of these things that I'm about to bring up really come back to that. Like, that list is really kind of where I'm operating from, so I'll share that soon. But I really think the cool thing about Paige, the really cool thing about Paige, just as a basketball player, is the fact that she really, her game, and I've talked about this before when UConn and Iowa were matching up in the Final Four last year. Marcus and I kind of talked about the Caitlin and Paige, just the difference between them. And I mean, Paige's game is just so put together, and it's not loud and flashy. Like, yeah, she'll do something that'll make you say ooh or ah. She'll do a behind the back pass every once in a while, or a no look pass. She knows how to play flashy, but the way that she operates, one phrase that I heard Lexi Brown mention in that clip talking about Paige is that she plays the game the right way. Whenever you hear that, that's the kind of phrase people use to talk about LeBron and people like Steve Nash. Like, whenever you hear that phrase, they play the game the right way. It really lends itself to the idea of like unselfishness, which is part of what I said in that clip. Paige is just so unselfish, so collaborative. And honestly, I had said that in that clip thinking, hey, Kiki Area Finn in DC might end up one-upping Paige in the Rookie of the Year race, because it doesn't feel like Paige is she's never gonna force the issue. Not that she won't be aggressive or have big games, because she's scored in double figures every game. She's leading the league in assists. I just saw that she became one of 4 players ever to put up a stat line. It was in the loss against Chicago. Paige is one of 4 players ever to put up a stat line of at least 15 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, along with at least 3 steals and 3 blocks. Caitlin did it in a game last year in her rookie year. Candace Parker has done it, and Angel McCautry has done it. Paige just became the first player in WNBA history to have over 60 points and over 30 assists in her first 5 games. So even though Paige might not be garnering the excitement and as much attention because her game isn't as flashy and shooting from the logo like a Caitlin, in terms of production and efficiency through her first 5 games, and it's a small sample size, we're still early in the season, but so far we're seeing that Paige is going to be just as effective as Caitlin, doing it in a different way, but maybe just as effective. And it's going to be really interesting over time seeing these two develop their rivalry, just a basketball rivalry that may not turn into like any real tension between them, but in terms of their games and their legacies, they're on a crash course, basically, Paige and Caitlin. And I keep wanting to go into things that I'm going to mention on my list, but it's just going to be interesting. I mean, if Dallas continues to, if they're going to struggle, they might get high draft pick next couple of years. They might be able to keep adding talent. I think Caitlin's in a great position. We've seen already Indiana is, I think Dallas will have the same mentality. Like, build around them, whatever that means, whatever it takes. The more we look at it, I think we're going to see that there are some really interesting similarities between Paige's situation and what Dallas has to do to build around her, and Caitlin's situation. Even though they're different kinds of players, I think there are going to be some interesting similarities, and I think Dallas might be needing to learn from and take a few pages from what Indiana is doing with Caitlin, even though they're two different kinds of players to have to build around. And I want to get into that in a little bit as well. If you're tuned in, thanks for watching. Appreciate you having here live. We're talking about reacting to Diana Taurasi's comment that Paige Bueckers will become the best player in the WNBA one day. She said it with conviction, with confidence. We know that that's her girl. We know Paige is like Taurasi's UConn prodigy, but like I said, Diana wouldn't say that just to support her girl. She's saying that feeling like that's the case. And what she said in that clip is so true. If you've watched any of these games, and let me know if you guys have watched Paige at all so far through these first 5 games, let me know in the comments. She definitely has looked better each game. Like I said, scored in double figures each game. She's had a 10 assist game. It was the game when she went back home at Minnesota. They only lost that game by a few points, I'm pretty sure. Dallas has had some high scoring games. Obviously they have Enrique next to her. I'll talk about that in a second, but Paige is she looks really good so far. And it's like, I don't know if it's even getting enough attention. I don't know if, people who are watching the games can clearly see how good she looks, but I just think the nature of her game, like Diana was talking about in the clip, that's really the big picture thing, is that, you saw it with Caitlin in Indiana, like that, these franchises, Indiana last year with Caitlin coming in, Paige this year, or Dallas this year, with Paige coming in. Now these franchises have a franchise player, and they haven't been winning. They haven't been that successful as of late. So this is the kind of player that comes in and helps you to change your philosophy, change the whole air around how you play, how you compete, how you think about winning, because Paige and Caitlin are such outliers as individual talents that they can come in and really help to change just your ability to compete, your ability to win games, because of all the different things that they can do to impact winning. And like, you're seeing that in the way that Paige is performing. It's not resulting in wins yet, but hey, Caitlin's team started 1-4 last year too in the first 5 games. I think Dallas will get a little bit better. I think they've shown some signs. I think they'll get a little bit better. I still think their roster just needs more work. I think like year 2 Dallas with Paige, year 3 Dallas with Paige, I think they're going to keep building each year. I love that they have DeJounte in there. I love Myisha Hines-Allen in there. Like, and the more confident and strong Paige gets, the better the team is going to be. And that's what I mean. Like, the more she is comfortable being able to just be her. And I think each time I've watched her, I haven't watched every game, but I've seen a handful of games. And each time I watch, you do see her just being given more confidence, even from Enrique, which is really important as their best player. Enrique just went for 37 in that loss against Chicago. We know what she is as a scorer, but the two of them figuring each other out, Enrique, I'm sure, is giving her confidence and assurance to be a leader and do the things that she does. And, point guard Paige is a real thing. Paige is more of the true point guard who can score and assist at a high level. Caitlin can score and assist at a high level too, obviously, but Caitlin is more of what we call a hybrid guard, where she's really a shooting guard, a flamethrower, a deep shooter. She's the type that can go for 30, 35, 40 with how explosive and dynamic she is. Paige is just more built on like the efficiency, not so much on the volume and the explosion. And both of them can score and assist, but it's going to be really interesting to see the two of them and how their situations differ and how their situations position each of them to become either the best player in the league or bona fide. Like I said, I have Caitlin top 5. I think she could fluctuate based on things this season. She's obviously hurt right now. So, things could factor in, but overall, all in all, I think Caitlin is already a top 5 player, but with the amount of talent in the league, and players that have been hurt coming back, Satu Sabali, you've got Jonquel Jones out there. I mean, players are going to keep making their case. And I think that top 5, top 10 list of players in the WNBA could keep fluctuating. But in 5 to 10 years, like, whose league is this going to be? Who is going to be the best player in the league? And that brings me to my list that I've kept referencing. I keep telling you I've got this list, and I want to share with you what I think are the five key things that might need to happen in order for Paige to be put in the best position to become the best player in the WNBA. So here's what I'm looking at. Number one, I think it goes without saying, just stay healthy. Obviously, that needs to happen. And when you talk about Paige, it's the fact that she had her injury history and issues in college, has had several major surgeries. Thank goodness she looks great. She looks fine now. She looks strong, but she's going to have to stay healthy. That's going to be big. And if she's going to continue to lead Dallas and be the alpha and be the lead guard, and if she's going to need to take on more volume, like if she's going to need to be great, like, because even right now, she's got to be really great for Dallas to be competitive. The roster's just not there yet. Her and Enrique, they both got to be great. Dejanay has to be really good. And I mean, they're all going to do their part. But I just, again, top to bottom, I don't think the Dallas roster is fully there yet. So you're relying on your number 1 pick superstar rookie, not fully relying on her, but you're needing her to be really good to great in order for you guys to even have a shot at a playoff push. The roster just isn't there yet. So if that's going to continue to be the case, you obviously need Paige to stay healthy. But again, that goes without saying. If you're going to become anything, if you're going to keep progressing, she's got to stay healthy. And we hope and pray that that continues to be the case, because she's been looking really good lately. The second thing is outlast Enrique. And I mean, since I'm such a fan of both of them, I tend to feel and believe that they can coexist. Enrique's only 28, so I think Enrique should have at least 2 or 3, maybe a few more, even like good years left in her. We'll see what ends up happening though, because I do still see a scenario where if Dallas isn't really progressing, if they feel like, I mean, they already know they're going to be building around Paige, but if it doesn't feel like Enrique is really the ideal shooting guard running mate along with Paige, if their styles just don't really seem to fit, I could see a world where at some point in the next few years, they look to move off of Enrique. While she has high value, mind you, they could make some kind of trade to really get stuff back. But again, I wouldn't just pull the plug like that prematurely. I would still rock with that. I want to see what Paige and Enrique can do together. Like I said, if they keep struggling this year, you might get a high draft pick next year. Maybe you get a Lauren Betts. Like maybe you could really come up. So I would stick with Paige and Enrique for the foreseeable future. One of the similarities I see between Dallas and Indiana with Caitlin, she has her Kelsey Mitchell. Paige has her Enrique. It's kind of a shooting guard who's been an elite scorer in this league before you even got here. But they have a play style that can work with you. So as long as they're able to work together, they like playing together, I think that tandem is only going to get better and better. So, but even with obviously Paige being the franchise player, being younger, to get to a point where she's going to become the best player in the WNBA, she would have to outlast Enrique. Could mean a couple of things. One thing that it could mean is she might have to become better than Enrique while she's still on her team. That's one scenario when I say outlast Enrique. It could mean possibly Dallas moves off of Enrique at some point, or it could mean she really takes over as the best player on their team while Enrique is still there. So outlast Enrique could mean either one of those things. It's not a way to say get her out of there or I mean, because again, there could be a scenario where Arike, they move off of her, but even if she's still there, she's going to have to supersede Arike at some point if she's going to be on a trajectory to become the best player in the whole league. Heck, some people might think she's better than Arike now, obviously not scoring wise, but all the different ways she affects the game. Some people might make that argument now. I think this is probably the biggest thing for Dallas and for Paige going forward. Every elite team in the league, in the WNBA, this league is built on forwards and bigs, unicorns, versatile wings, power forwards, hybrid posts. This is a league built on great bigs. Caitlin Clark has Aaliyah Boston. Kelsey Plum has De'Erica Hamby and Cam Brink coming back in LA. Nafisa Collier in Minnesota. Jonquel Jones and Stewie in New York. You've got to have versatile forwards and bigs on your team in the WNBA to be considered elite. So that's the biggest thing for me with Dallas in terms of their roster going forward with Paige. But why I say that she might need this to help her become the best player in the league is because I just can't help but think about how she worked with a player like Sarah Strong this past year at UConn when they won the national championship, beat South Carolina. They were unstoppable. Having Paige in a two-man game, being able to play the pitch game, the catch and pitch DHO game with a forward or big that can shoot the ball at a high level, even just that can just shoot the ball, just a decent shooter, a versatile forward or big, that's going to open things up for Dallas, and it's going to open things up for Paige. The more Paige can be around players, other like highly skilled players that can shoot it, that play unselfish, that know how to move, how to play off handoffs and pin down action. It's basically like you're creating a new UConn. I think that's kind of what Diana was getting at in that clip when she said that Paige will be the best player in the WNBA one day. She kind of said it like, this is Paige's way. Like Paige is going to kind of turn that program into UConn, kind of like Caitlin is turning the Indiana Fever into Iowa. The team and the system is going to be built around them. So hopefully that coach was studying a lot of Gino and UConn offense and how they run a lot of their action with movement and pin downs and weak side action and exchanges and all the like 4 out 1 in stuff that like. And I think right now Dallas is so guard heavy. It's so Paige and Arike, Dejanay, Maisha Hines-Allen. I love her there. She's a versatile forward, but I'm talking about like a big, like some of the names I mentioned earlier. I'm talking like an elite big that is going to help take Dallas and Paige to another level. That's part of what I mean when I say the Dallas roster needs more work to really be super competitive and to really maximize Paige. But I think that kind of running mate, not just a great backcourt mate like Arike, which also helps, but you get Paige an elite big, watch what happens with her assists, with her scoring. Watch how much easier the game gets and looks for her just by having that. So I also think that Paige needs to become the aggressor at some point. Now, I may be off base with here because look, like Paige knows what she's doing with the way she plays, her efficiency. She doesn't force the issue. She knows when to be aggressive, but to be the best player in the WNBA, like I said about number 2, Outlast Arike, she's going to have to start to be looking like I can take or make any shot I want. You guys literally can't stop me from doing anything I want. To be the best player as a point guard, as a lead guard in the WNBA, she's going to have to become, I think, a little more ruthless. Everyone loves Paige. They say that she's like the niece, like everyone's, everyone thinks they're Paige's auntie. Like everyone loves Paige. Her teammates love her. You just have to love her. And that's great. I think that's part of her superpower. That's part of what makes her great. just in terms of how she, and look, you see some of her ruthlessness come out. There's a clip out there from one game recently, and it was against Minnesota because she was clapping at the ref. This almost reminded me of some Taurasi in her. She's clapping at the ref like, yo, 15's traveling every time. They caught it on the audio, on the mic. She's clapping like, yo, 15. She was talking about Shepard on Minnesota. Traveling every time, like looking the ref dead in her eyes. Like Paige does have that competitive fire and beast in her. It's there. It definitely is there. I just think her, like, she's so humble, right? And so kind. And look, she might be, I think she's feeling out the league her rookie year. She's not going to be disrespectful. She's not going to be in some mess and stuff. Like, you're not going to see Paige in any of that. That's just not her nature. But in order to become the best player in the WNBA, like I said, when she matches up against Caitlin, she's going to have to go up. She's going to have to go at Caitlin. She's going to have to go at Asia Wilson. She's going to have to go at Kelsey Plum. She's going to have to go at Courtney Williams. Like, she doesn't have to just outplay these people. She's going to have to go at them, I think, and be the aggressor. If we're like, that's how Diana became the best player in the league. It wasn't just winning. It was her mentality. It was her approach. It was the way she played the game and the fact that people knew. I'm not saying Paige has to be feared versus respected, because I think that's where I'm getting at. And she's always going to have that respect factor. And I'm not saying she has to be feared. I'm just saying in her approach, just the way she plays, the way she carries herself with her game and stuff, and she's going to get better and stronger and more confident. So we'll see more bravado out of her over the years. But I just think her nature in terms of how she goes at the rest of the league might have to be a little more aggressive over time, and her maybe, bring out some more of that attitude to really solidify herself as best player in the league one day. So last thing, number 5 goes to the comparison point that I don't think you can get away from if you're making this case about Paige becoming the best player in the league. She's going to be side by side in the same era with Caitlin Clark. Caitlin can't be winning in the same era as Paige if Paige is going to become the best player in the league. I don't think that's going to, I think Paige is going to need to be winning. That's part of the formula, I think, for her to be considered the best player in the league. And they both can't be winning. I mean, hey, maybe they take turns. Listen, they could both get a ring. They could both get a couple rings. Like, they could still both win in this era. Just like Marcus texted me recently and asked, like, are Paige and Caitlin going to become like the Sue and Diana of this era? Even though they're not friends, they didn't both go to UConn. They're not like best friends. There's not that thing. But just in terms of who they are to the league, 2 of the top guards in the league, they kind of had their own, not rivalry because they were best friends, and I think Paige and Caitlin, I don't think they're best friends, but I'm pretty sure they're cool. Like, I know they don't have any like animosity. Like, I know they played Team USA together. Like, they're probably cool. They're probably friends. So when they play against each other, it's going to be all love, but they still need to go at each other. But I don't think it'll be Sue and Diana, because I don't think Sue Bird was ever considered. She was considered one of maybe the best point guard in the league in her prime. And I meant to look up. I can't remember off the top of my head. If anyone's watching can correct me on this. I can't remember if Sue Bird ever won an MVP. She may have gotten one, but I'm leaning towards thinking I don't think Sue Bird ever won an MVP. I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong. But I say that to say I don't specifically remember Sue Bird ever being considered as the best player in the league while Diana was also in the league with her. And Diana was younger, so her prime was in a time when Sue, if there was a time when Sue was considered the best in the league, which I don't think there was that time, it would have been before Diana, but their times were so intertwined that I don't know if Sue ever got to that level where she was considered the best player in the league. Paige and Caitlin, I think, are both going to have legit arguments at points over the next 5 to 10 years. They're on the trajectory where both of them could be competing for best player in the league. So that's where, like, the Sue Diana thing I thought was interesting when Marcus brought it up, but and they were both great, both elite, both Hall of Famers. Like it's a similar thing there, but I think Caitlin and Paige are going to be way more of, they're going to be challenging each other way more for that like top spot, especially if both of their teams get good, if both of their teams are competing for championships. But so I just think they're both going to be vying for that top spot. And if Caitlin is winning, if Indiana and Caitlin's a year ahead, Caitlin's got 1 year ahead on her. Indiana's got 1 year ahead where they're putting together. They've already started. You saw the offseason they had. You saw how they just played New York. Like Indiana feels like they're ready, and they might be after 1 year with Caitlin. So Caitlin's got a year head start on her. They're going to be in the same timeline, in the same era. So if Caitlin starts winning championships, if she starts really dominating and winning in Paige's era, that takes away from the case of Paige Bueckers becoming the best player in the league one day. But I think the conversation and the comparison is going to continue to fluctuate and get more interesting. I just think it's going to keep fluctuating based on their team success, obviously, but also their games are really going to start to, I saw Colin Cowherd said on his show, Paige Bueckers is the better all-around scorer than Caitlin. He's not wrong. That's true. Paige is more of a credible 3-level scorer, specifically in the mid-range, where Paige really in the mid-range and I would say in the paint, anything below like really 3-point line and below, that's where Paige is way more efficient and way more diverse with her ability to score the ball. I have a clip right here of her going to a pull-up right here, a very clean 2-dribble pull-up. Hold on, let me fix this because I'm not always handling the studio by myself, so forgive me. But here's the clip right here. Paige catches real calm, 2-dribble pull-up, light, and that might not seem like a lot to you, but for her to be in triple threat, size up a veteran defender, I think that's Rebecca Allen, and get into this. Look, this is 2 dribbles. This is 2 dribbles right here. She catches. She's on the 3-point line. Just 2 dribbles to her left. 1, 2, right, left, pull up off the bounce. That's not something you see that often or that fluid from Caitlin off the bounce. She's usually going to a step back for the 3. That she owns the 3-point line, even though Paige is great at the 3 as well. Caitlin is way more dynamic from the 3-point line, especially off the dribble. She's looking for the step back 3 a lot of the times, or she's looking for the straight line drive. And Paige is more of the stop on the dime, rise up, pull up, jump shot, 1, 2, pull up. So her offensive scoring repertoire is a little more full than what Caitlin has, even though Caitlin is more explosive. So it's a really interesting, I don't know. I've tried to think of a comparison, but I think this is going to be kind of a one of one thing when it comes to comparing side by side and watching the development and the progression of Paige's game and Caitlin's game in the WNBA, because Paige is so efficient, so productive, and she's going to have breakout games. She's going to have games where she hits 5, 6 threes. Like she's that good. And obviously we know what Caitlin can do. So it's going to be interesting. Those were my 5 things. If you missed it, you can watch the video back, but those are my 5 things. I think things, not that so many things have to go right for Paige, but I just think specifically with the roster, with her approach, with her chemistry with Arike, and obviously staying healthy. And I just think those are things that are going to happen as we watch things progress for her in the WNBA to see if she will have a legit shot. She'll be one of the best players, I'm sure, when it's time. But if she's going to be the best player in the WNBA, I put Caitlin can't win. She's obviously got to win too. She's got to do some winning if she's going to be considered the best player in the WNBA. Appreciate you guys for watching. If you were late, you can tune in on the playback. If you're watching this on the playback, thanks for watching this episode. I'm usually here with my co-host Marcus every week live, but Marcus is out of town having fun. So just wanted to hop on here, give a quick reaction to Diana Taurasi saying that Paige Bueckers could be the best player in the WNBA one day. Leave your thoughts in the comments below and make sure you subscribe to Basketball Society on YouTube. Stay locked in with this podcast, Protect Our Queens, where we talk women's basketball every week, and the Basketball Society podcast, which I host and have different guests on, and we talk all kinds of basketball topics. So if you're here and you enjoy, I appreciate you so much for watching. And as always, you guys enjoy yourselves some women's basketball.